This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Oh, what can I tell you? 21-11, the boys go down in flames against the New England Patriots. If you're expecting a lot of fire, a lot of, sacrificial lambs here today, you're probably not going to get it, folks. Remember, I'm the guy that did not panic at 59-10 last year in week 1. I'm the guy that did not panic. You remember they lost to the Patriots 43-0 in week 2? Okay? I mean, we are talking about a team that gave up 102 points in the first 2 weeks of the season. And yes, yesterday it sucked that they lost. It sucked the turnovers. It sucked that they couldn't stop the run. I get it. There's a lot of things. Devontae Parker getting injured. There's a lot of things to be disappointed about overall. But look, in the end, you have to understand, last year they had a completely new team after tearing it down to the bone pretty much. This offseason, they had a hell of a lot more turnover on this roster. And you've got a lot of young guys. And young guys that played well on the offensive line. Brandon Jones played well at safety back there. Myles Gaskins is a kid that they've had here for a couple years now, developing him behind the scenes. And he looked good yesterday. They kept playing him over Breida. And Breida was the guy that we all expected to play. But it's not like Gaskins played bad. Look, man. I get that yesterday I was hoping. I thought myself that they would win with all the turnover that the Patriots had. But unfortunately, the defense wasn't ready for the moment, and they weren't adjusted to everything that went on. And whatever they tried to adjust to throughout the game, in the second, at halftime, in the third, it did not work. And unfortunately, they could not solve the riddle of Cam Newton, okay? I'm not one, and we'll get to the whole Cam stuff in a minute, but it was a tough matchup for them. Yet, they lose by 10. They give up 3 interceptions, okay? They lose Devontae Parker, which really actually hurt that offense in a bad way because they did not have the go-to guy. Preston Williams is not ready for that moment yet. Mike Gesicki's not ready for that moment yet. Isaiah Ford's not ready for that moment, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? They all, made a catch or two or whatever, but it wasn't like Fitz had a guy that he could definitely depend on. And I know that Parker came in with a little bit of a hammy, and obviously he re-aggravated it in the game, and they took him out. And so now we'll see what happens if he's even able to play against Buffalo, and they've got one hell of a defense. But having said all that, they still had opportunities. They cut it to 3 after they got the 2-point conversion. You know what I mean? So they played a really crappy game, and we're still in it. And to me, that's the way I'm going to look at it, because I know that eventually everybody will start playing better, because that's what happens under this coach. That's what happened last year. He got a whole bunch of new guys. He's playing a bunch of new guys. Now he's adjusting. Now he's got to figure out who's who and where one guy belongs and where another guy doesn't. And the other thing that, again, this will be a bunch of excuses. Your first game is a physical game where you got to tackle a lot, and you have not tackled at all. You didn't have a preseason. You didn't have a real training camp. None of that stuff. They don't do the inside drills like they used to when I was on the beat. They don't do any of that stuff nowadays. Okay? And in this offseason, they did even less. So this was a really hard game for them. In hindsight, when I was looking at the game, I was going, damn, this is a bitch of a game to start off with, because you've got to tackle a 6'5" mammoth human being, running the ball. and it becomes a challenge for the Dolphins, and clearly it was, okay? And so I could sit here and I can overreact and go crazy, and I did not last year when they were trashed in the first two games. I'm not going to sit here now and start trashing this team now at this point when I know that I'm going to give them a chance to get better. I'm not going to overreact on one game. It doesn't make any sense in my book. There's 15 more to go. And last year, they started 0-7 and found their way and went 5-4 in the last 9 games. I expect Brian Flores to find his way a lot faster this year than last year. Okay? And listen, it starts with the offensive line. Those guys didn't give up a sack till late in the fourth quarter, man. Fitz had time. He was clean back there. That's good. And let me give you another positive on this. Remember what I've said all offseason. I want to give this kid some time till November, so it's a year, and he's had time to heal. He's had time to practice, time to have, soreness, all that stuff, get it out of the way. You know what I'm saying? And this is really good that the offensive line played well in week 1 because you need the offensive line to play well in order to play Tua. So don't overlook that. I know there's some of you already clamoring for Tua, and that's just pure stupidity right now. We're not doing that on this show, okay? But I will tell you this. If Tua is to play when Miami is no longer mathematically eligible for the playoffs or Fitz is struggling badly, it's nice to know that the offensive line is playing well and that Tua will get behind a couple guys that can actually block. You know what I mean? They weren't perfect. They still have to, run the ball, although both running backs average 4.4 yards per carry. Okay? If you look at the stats, I know it's like 3.6. I think I got to look it up or something.
I think it was 3.2, actually.
3.2.
Yeah.
Right. But the two running backs average 4.4. Yes. Okay? That's because of the quarterback and whatever,
Sacks go against you.
Yeah, but it was only one sack. So it wasn't like a lot. So but my point is that the running backs did play well, actually. When they ran the ball at a nice clip. Now, are they a dominant line or anything? No, but it was a nice start, at least. I mean, listen, if we're going to slam people for their bad play, then let's also compliment people when they do well. You know what I mean? It's really important. And so kudos to the offensive line overall. They weren't perfect. There were a couple penalties, but still, it was a good outing by the offensive line. I was happy with that overall. And the other thing that when Devontae went out, the one thing that really hurt them was they were going up against a good secondary. While they've been depleted at linebacker, I don't think they have great pass rushers, but they do have a good secondary. And the secondary, that's where you were really missing Devontae Parker, because Devontae Parker is the one guy that's going to suck in that safety. And that did not allow, and nobody else was going to command that kind of attention out there at the wide receiving core, which then opens it up for everybody else because now they've got more one-on-one matchups. That did not happen once Parker went out. They did not have to use anybody. They didn't have to double anybody, or the safety did not have to be really over-concerned with somebody out there. They felt like their guys could handle most of these guys one-on-one, and they were right. You know what I mean? So that's going to be something to look at, the effects of not having Devontae Parker there. And the flip side to all of this with Devontae Parker is we got to hope that the Devontae Parker from the first 4 years doesn't show up anymore, right? Because the Devontae Parker from the first 4 years started the season. And so let's hope that this is an aberration. Let's hope he can, and if he does have a hamstring problem, I hope that they give him the proper time to heal up because he is injury prone. And so that's going to be something to look at. If Parker can't do what he did last year, where he was on the field the entire season. So very, very, very important moment right now in the season on how they handle Devontae Parker. And I hope that they're able to handle it the right way so you have him for the whole season. That would be very, very important.